not a provision or a liability that you should be recognizing on your book today, because you know you're going to have to deliver that. So this is where sustainability and financial reporting now need to really start talking to one another. And I'm almost jumping to the end of my presentation, but it fits nicely now, is what should you be doing today? Is sustainability reporting mandatory in Zimbabwe today? No. But you need to start thinking about these risks. You need to start identifying them, because they have an impact on your current financial statements under IPSAS. What does it mean for the useful life of your road or the useful life of your transport infrastructure, for example, if you know you have to transition? For energy infrastructure that you know you have to transition. Or potentially, as I said, if there are going to be floods, if there's going to be droughts and government has to step in, do we have to start recognizing provisions and liabilities for those? When it comes to social risks, what does it mean for the social grants I'm currently paying, and do I have to start upping the liabilities or the amounts that I've recognized for that? So those conversations are actually already required from you under the current IPSAS standards. So we need to have those conversations and at least start that after today, please, that we can start integrating these into our financial statements, and then when sustainability reporting does come, it's a natural fit to just report what we're trying to do. Just in terms of materiality, you'll hear in the public sector side or the private sector science, they speak about double materiality, impact materiality. There's a whole bunch of different ones that they've got. From a public sector side, we have using the same definition of materiality that we use in the, for financial reporting, apologies. The reason for that is public sector materiality is already exceptionally broad. It already has got a much larger stakeholder base, being service recipients, providers of capital, or their recipients. Now that's pretty much everybody in Zimbabwe, right? Because you are all service recipients from the government of Zimbabwe. Now that's very different to the private sector, where they just produce financial statements for investors and capital providers. So already quite a large scope for the public sector, and for that reason we felt that this current materiality definition and scope would fit well in terms of sustainability reporting. This was the slide where I wanted to try and just say, start thinking about these risks, even although sustainability reporting is not here at the moment. So sustainability reporting addresses the information that we can provide to our service recipients and our resource providers, the blue on the top there. It's the way of telling our story, which is what accountants are good at. But that's not the aim of this exercise. It's not a reporting exercise. The aim of this exercise is to try and achieve the green circles that we've got on the bottom, which in terms of climate risks and opportunities, it's identifying those and managing those. All right, now and then seeing what the impact is on financial reporting. I'm going to run away that he can't give me. There we go. And then number two, actually using your public policy to combat climate change, and what are you doing around that? If I just link this then to our two standards, so the top one is our own operations, which, as I say, we have issued and is available for adoption. That, if we're looking at the long-term prosperity of Zimbabwe and trying to align it, for example, to Vision 2030 or even beyond, this is where you need to start thinking, what impact does it have on my entity? What impact does it have on my long-term service delivery? And therefore, what impact does it have on my current financial statements that I'm preparing? In December, when we issue phase 2 on the public policy program, that's the one where you start talking about how are we actually using and what are we doing to achieve the goals that are set out in Vision 2030, in achieving the SDGs, for example. There will be a more aligned guidance. It's not to say that that reporting doesn't exist already. It probably does in some shape or form exist in most governments around the world. But it is fragmented, it's not consistent, and there's no global language that we're using. So the aim of this is to create that global language that everybody starts to use the same mechanisms. I've spoken around why it matters in terms of the risks, the transparency, the resilience. I'm going to skip those examples and just go to my last slide, or second last slide. The opportunities and the challenges that this now presents for you. Opportunities in terms of if we start this type of thinking already around identifying the sustainability-related risks. And please, I mean, the standard we've issued now is just on climate, but use that thought process to start thinking about other risks, all right? The nature risks, social risks, governance-type risks as well. Because the earlier we identify those risks and we start managing them, or understanding at least the impact that it has on my organization and my ability to deliver services, helps me to achieve stronger financial discipline and then long-term fiscal planning and ultimately long-term service delivery for your organization. With that, the transparency through the reporting can give donors and can give the public more confidence that you are actually tackling these. And as I say, where you are having these difficult trade-offs of potentially spending more money in the short term for a longer term success, it helps you to tell that story and be more transparent, which will hopefully improve your resource allocation and budgeting processes. The challenges, to collect this data, to understand these risks, to quantify them, and to see what impact it's having year on year. It is difficult to get the specialists that currently do that. But the good news is that those same specialists that are used in the private sector can also be used in the public sector. And also, this is not a Zimbabwe thing, right? This is not a Southern African thing. This is a global thing. So the same experts that are being used across the world can potentially provide data and can provide resources here. So reach out far and wide. Institutional readiness, obviously, it's always costly to start implementing these. There needs to be that will and there needs to be that buy-in, but I'm glad to see that there's already a start in the right direction on that in Zimbabwe, and we've got the roadmap that is going to come soon. And then just in terms of, obviously, there are currently short-term fiscal pressures within the economy and within the country, and how do we balance that now against the longer-term sustainability and prosperity of the country with what we've got. My last punt, and I did mention a little bit earlier, is just as you go through the thinking around sustainability issues, or even if you choose to adopt the public sector bodies, we have a sustainability implementation forum. This forum is currently up and running, and the idea of this forum is for any countries that are adopting sustainability reporting in the public sector, this is a forum for them to come through and talk around what are the challenges, what are the difficulties that they're having, again, to share best practices, share resources, and potential paths forward. So, sorry, that was a mouthful, but if you do want to know any more about it, you're welcome to catch me at a later point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We'll spare Andrew from questions because he'll be in the panel shortly. So at this moment in time, I would welcome Webster Gauke. He is head of... You're head of what, by the way? Okay, all right. So Webster is head of technical standards. Webster is so passionate about you and me knowing much about standards so that we are well-equipped accountants. So I'll welcome Webster to present on a brief presentation on Zimbabwe Sustainability Standards Implementation Roadmap. You can come forward. Thank you. Let's clap hands for him. We need to stabilize him so that he does not fall. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MC. A very good afternoon to you all. Thank you. I want to give a big thanks to the previous presenters. I think since from morning, they have motivated the reason why we're talking about sustainability and the importance of sustainability. I think within the different spheres, within private sector, within public sector. So I will not go back to talk about why do we need to do this. I'm sure this is clear. But this is also the same clarity that we had as PAB and as a nation at large. And we came to a decision that for this to happen, we need accountability. Those who know, they say, what is not measured will not get done. So we are the catalyst to things happening. We are the catalyst to governance starting taking place, sustainability governance starting taking place. Sustainability management, risk management, and all those opportunities that they've been talking about. For these things to happen, there has to be some form of accountability, and accountability results in better decision making. Now, as a result, the PAB then went on a journey to then say, Therefore, let's put some form of a structured process for us to start putting that accountability into place, which is the adoption of sustainability reporting disclosure standards. And this is a process that we've gone through, not just by saying there is a standard which is there, let's take it, but following the due process, which first starts by asking critical questions, such as, do we have a need? Do we need to be doing this? And if we need to be doing this, what are the right standards that we need to be picking? What is material information that needs to be considered by the users? Who are the users that we are focusing on? So that whatever that we're doing, the aim and the goal at the end of the day is not compliance, but the goal at the end of the day is better decision making, more sustainable institutions, capitalizing on those opportunities, mitigating and adapting to those risks. Therefore, this is the ultimate goal that we're trying to achieve. Then another question that we asked ourselves as well was, so how do we do this? Who is affected? When should they start? When should they end? What are the challenges that could be envisaged? So that we come up with practical ways in which we implement this and we do not make this a tick box exercise. This is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, why today we are talking about a roadmap which has been created. A roadmap which is to try and manage the process so that there is no chaos in doing this, and to make it practical as much as possible and achievable as much as possible, but most importantly, to reap the benefits of this exercise. So as I stand here today, we're now gravitating into the process where we are now going to officially launch the sustainability reporting roadmap for Zimbabwe that will guide us into this process. To take us through this launch, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the man who has been spearheading this process from PAB. This is the chairman of the Sustainability Standards Panel, which is a panel which was developed to guide the process of developing the roadmap. It was responsible for coming up with technocrats that will make all the considerations that are necessary, provide support to decision makers, which is the board, as well as engage each one and every of you and the key stakeholders so that we come up with a roadmap which is meaningful. Ladies and gentlemen, the man that I'm talking about is Mr. Tinashe Rhodzi. I'll allow AI to formally introduce him as he comes to stage. Thank you.
Tinashe Rhodzi is a chartered accountant in Zimbabwe and England and Wales and a former PwC managing partner for Zimbabwe and Malawi. He is a founding member of Tasima Capital, chair of the PAAB Sustainability Standards Panel, and a past president of ICAZ with extensive experience in audit, governance, and professional leadership.
Thank you very much, Webster. I hope this is working. Thank you very much, Webster, and thank you, MC. I think it's now afternoon, and I'm looking around. I'm not seeing lots of prayers, so I think that's a good sign. Please allow me to ride on the protocols that we have been riding on the last couple of days. Today is a very exciting day for the accounting profession in Zimbabwe, in the PAAB. As we stand on the verge of launching our sustainability roadmap, please allow me to step back a little bit to just give you a summary of how we got to where we are today. And allow me to go back, Secretary, to before 2019, when the PAAB had what we called an integrated reporting committee, which was the technical committee that recognized and looked after sustainability, but maybe not calling it sustainability so much, but integrated reporting. Then 2029 came, and 2029 was a watershed year in a number of angles. The first one, as we've talked about before, is that our then Minister of Economic Planning and Development put up his hand at the COP in Egypt and said, "Me and my country shall early adopt sustainability reporting and sustainability standards." Remember, at that point, those standards were not even there yet. They were being talked about, but he had the foresight to say, "Me and my house shall do that." And that gave us a lot of advantages. In the same year, the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, in its foresight and wisdom, actually issued a mandate to its constituencies to include in their annual reports sustainability reports, but without prescribing a reporting framework. That was critical because we're beginning to put very important markers in the sustainability reporting process. And unfortunately, COVID happened. And so it sort of put brakes to the progress then. Fast forward to 2022. And in 2022, the PAAB, through the Minister of Finance, then made an official pronouncement that Zimbabwe was going to early adopt the International Standards on Sustainability Reporting Board issued sustainability standards reports. In 2023, the ISSB then released standard number 1 and number 2. And the PAAB moved very quickly and changed the stature and nature of the Integrated Reporting Committee and adopted and created the current Sustainability Standards panel. And at that point, officially and truly and well started the journey to sustainability reporting adoption. And if I recall correctly, at that point, I think our current chair of PAAB, Mr. Mshakara, was in place. Thank you, sir. In 2024, the real work started. And I remember the robust debates we had on the board. I remember the then Deputy Secretary, who is now our Secretary for the board, Donald, and I running around and being sent on a couple of missions by the board. But I think the critical point to note is that in 2024, the board launched, through the panel, a stakeholder survey to get a feel of Zimbabwe's appetite and preparedness for sustainability reporting adoption. Just a summary of what came out of that survey. It was a broad survey, but just a quick summary. The first one was that implementation was very thin on the ground, and it was being done mainly by a couple of listed entities. And those that were implementing it or applying it then were mainly applying the GRI framework. Because remember, at that point, we had just seen the issuing of S1 and S2, but not the adoption of it, not the implementation of it in Zimbabwe. Other outputs or outcomes from that survey were that the investors were very clear that historical data in financial reporting was not adequate. and they needed sustainability data included as part of core reporting. The next one was that 87% of those that responded highlighted the importance of identifying risks and opportunities of sustainability and reporting on them. 83% said that assurance in sustainability reporting was critical. And finally, 70% highlighted the need for sustainability strategy by preparers of financial statements. Then 2025 came, and the tempo was uplifted significantly in that in February of 2025, the PAAB then reached out to other key regulators, the stock exchange in particular, and SECZIM. And those that might remember, I think it was around February, Donald, we issued a joint statement of the PAAB, SECZIM, and ZSE, recommending that listed entities apply either ISSB standards 1 and 2 in their sustainability reporting or the GRI framework. I think the key that I would like to highlight here is the coming together of those key regulators, because that was the beginning of getting us to where we are today, where we are now, all well aligned. So that was in February 2025. In June 2025, the PAAB, recognizing the need and the criticality of doing so, out of the Sustainability Standards Panel, created a sustainability task force that was specifically charged with developing a roadmap for implementing sustainability standards in Zimbabwe. That task force was made up of players, key players from key industry sectors and subsectors and institutions. That was in June 2025. In September 2025, that task force kicked in by starting to hold stakeholder consultations. What followed was 6 months of intense activity in terms of consultations. I just would like to give you a flavor of who was engaged in those consultations. Regulators, who included IPEC, Reserve Bank, SECZIM, Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Wildlife. Of course, I'm not mentioning the Ministry of Finance, that's a given. They were always central to the whole process. ZERA and other regulators. Investors. I remember that particular one. There was a consultation session for investors who came from the public sector, from the private sector, who came as individuals, who came through fund managers and pension funds and others, etc. And I do remember that that particular session had about 200 attendants, which just demonstrates how wide that was. The professional accounting organizations also we had their own session, our session with them. We also had a session with preparers of financial statements, right across the economic spectrum, covering the retail sector, manufacturing, financial services, insurance, the listed entities, and the large entities. I mean, there are specific large entities that we targeted because of their impact on sustainability. We then had a session with the auditors. Why the auditors separately from just PAOs was not all PAOs are auditors, 1, and 2, the auditors will play a key role in assurance provision later on once the implementation kicks in. And as we were going, we also then got in our key colleagues, whom we have seen play a central role even in this conference, the Auditor General and the Accountant General. We believe it's key. I was very heartened earlier on when somebody asked colleagues from the public sector to stand up. My goodness, it's the whole room. That speaks volume. And that shows that as Zimbabwe, the private and public sector, we are one as we move forward to implement sustainability reporting. The process in practical terms started off, as I said, in September 2025, with the Secretariat drafting a draft roadmap. This was then shared with the various stakeholders that I've referred to who were consulted. And as we went, we refined, we updated, we made better. Eventually, 2-3 weeks ago, we came to where we are today, the final version of the Zimbabwe Sustainability Implementation Roadmap. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are now. But before we do the protocols, please allow me to say some critical thank yous. The first thank you and deep appreciation goes to Honorable Mthuli Ncube for his vision and his foresight, for him lifting up that hand and saying, here we are as Zimbabwe, we'll be one of the forerunners in Africa. You remember me on Thursday saying we are one of the 5 front runners in Africa in sustainability roadmap development. Thank you, Minister, and thank you to the ministry. Those colleagues who are here from the ministry, we thank you, and we thank the minister. Please pass our gratitude. Would also want to thank the International Standards, Sustainability Standards Board, IFEC, and the IFRIS Foundation. It was mentioned somewhere along the line that we had the privilege of actually being visited by the chairperson of the IFRIS Foundation. And we had a session, those that were able to attend, at the then Mikkels Hotel, which boosted our position significantly. And in particular, I also want to extend our gratitude to Dr. Ndidi Nolin-Odozian, who spoke to us earlier. She has been a tremendous supporter of our journey to this point, and I'm sure she'll continue to support us as we go forward. Lebo, please pass our gratitude. I would like to thank PAFA. They have been with us all the way. They will continue to be with us all the way. And PAFA and ISSB, please bear with us. We'll call on you as we go for both technical and practical support. Owen, please pass our gratitude back to PAFA. I would like to thank the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Wildlife for championing that push. I would like to specifically thank the Office of the President and Cabinet. Sangita, that tone at the top says it all. The fact that the government has actually put out a mandate to ministries, departments, etc., on sustainability means a lot for us as a country. And it sets the tone for us from the top. Thank you very much. The Accountant General and Auditor General, thank you very much. The regulators I spoke about earlier, including the RBZ, SECZIM, ZSE, IPEC, ZERA, etc., thank you. To our investors, to our preparers, to our PAOs, to our auditors, not just thank you, but thank you and also saying what we've said before. This marks the beginning of the real work. As we implement Let's remember we've set a bar. Let's remember we've taken the front position. We cannot afford to slacken. We've got to keep running. We've got to keep that front position. It's an incredible amount of work. What Webster didn't tell us is when you go through the roadmap document, you realize that it takes 5 to 8 years, depending on who you are and how you are positioned. But it takes a lot of work, particularly from each and every one of us in this room. Earlier on, we were told that as accountants, we occupy a very unique position. A unique position of leadership and influence. We will be the drivers of sustainability, not just reporting, because again, we keep emphasizing, like Andrew said, is the tail end. The real work starts with the actual operations, to embed sustainability in the operations, the systems, the controls, the data gathering, the recording, the processing, and then the reporting at the end. I actually want to say there's a lot of us sitting in this room who have actively participated, either as members of the PAAB, the PAAB committees, the PAAB Sustainable Standards Panel, and as individuals in getting us to where we are. Thank you very much. Mr. Mshayakara and your board, a lot of thanks for the counsel and the guidance and the leadership. Donald, as always, for that hard work and the leadership. Thank you very much. And Webster and your team, special thanks. I know there's still a lot to go, but we know your passion, we know your commitment, we know your hard work. We're going to continue leading us. Thank you very much for that. With those long words, I want to say a few. I would like to say it is a privilege and honor to declare where we've gotten to today, where we are on the verge of launching our sustainability reporting roadmap. Thank you very much. MC,
thank you very much.
I give it back to you.
We leave the time to the secretary. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I think you missed one thank you. And as chairman of the PAB, I wanted to thank you, Mr. Rodzi. You did a lot of hard work to get us where we are, so I just wanted to personally say thank you for that.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Oh, we leave the time to the secretary to do his thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Rodzi. You know, when I look around the room, I see so many chairmen, because I've got various, committees at PAB, and almost everyone in the front row is a chairman of something. So thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much, Elephant Hills. I think the podium is the very right size for me. Everybody can see me. So thank you for that. I often struggle with this. You get to a hotel and the podium is almost my size. So thank you. To launch the roadmap, I would like to invite a few people on stage to be part of this process. I will give the honor to cut the ribbon and officially launch the roadmap to Mr. Rodzi. Mr. Rodzi, please come up and stand on my left. I will also invite the chairman of the PAAB to also come up. I will also invite Chief Director to come up. I will also invite Mr. Lyndon Gomo, Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, to also come up. I will also invite Deputy Auditor General, Mrs. Magaza, to come up. and Deputy Accountant General, Mr. Mashauri, to also come up. I will also invite Andrew. Andrew van der Beek. You're the only Andrew in the house, Andrew. Once this group is done, once we've officially launched, I would also like to invite CEOs of PAOs to also come up front and have a photo opportunity with the roadmap. Why do I say that? We can come up with a roadmap for the profession. But remember, as PAAB, we are a regulator and we regulate through PAOs. PAOs have the members. PAOs have got to build capacity in their members. We want that commitment from CAOs to then include sustainability as part of their curricula. So as a show of commitment from you CEOs, I'll ask you to come up and also have a photo op with the roadmap. It's not our thing as PAAB, but it's our thing as a profession. May I ask whoever is the bearer of that scissors to come up with the scissors? Thank you, Sympathy. Trust Sympathy to do that. It gives me great pleasure, Mr. Rodzi, to hand over the scissors to you to officially do the proceedings. So you can unwrap, and then cut the ribbon, and then you show us the roadmap.
It's my great pleasure and honor to give to the profession and to the Zimbabwean economy our Zimbabwe Sustainability Roadmap.
Sanketa, please help. Thank you very much, Mr. Rodzi. There will be a QR code shortly on the screens. Those in this room will be the first ones to have sight of that roadmap. You can now download the full roadmap using that QR code. There you go. You will find on page 2 a foreword from the Minister of Finance underlining his commitment and the country's commitment to implementing this roadmap. Can I ask our photographers to come close and then we have a photo opportunity? I think the chairman has got a specific gadget he wants to use for his photo. Thank you very much. Thank you. You may take your leave. Chairman, I'll ask you to remain there.
Thank you.
Can I now invite CEOs of PAOs to also come up? I'm missing Dr. Gomera. Is he on the course already? Thought as much. Thank you very, very much, CEOs. Thank you very much. Mr. Rodzi is a very good team player. Are there any members of the Sustainability Standards panel in the room? Owen, I know you are one. Any other members or those that were in the task force? Ah, there you go, Mr. Nebera. Oh, there you go, Mr. Chingeta. Webster, can you also come through, please? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you very much. We are moving on. We have been packing a lot of questions for the panel. So at this moment in time, we're asking for the panel, which is being moderated by Mr. William Mandisoza, the ICAS CEO. The panel will be on turning sustainability into decisions, what companies are actually doing. So at this moment in time, I will leave AI to help me in introducing the panel. Thank you.
William Mandisoza is a distinguished chartered accountant and seasoned financial executive with over 20 years of leadership experience spanning multinational corporations, financial services, manufacturing, and public sector advisory. As the CEO of ICAZ, he is at the forefront of shaping Zimbabwe's accounting profession, driving policy reforms, digital transformation, and strengthening corporate governance frameworks. Andrew van der Berg is a member of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board and chair of South Africa's Accounting Standards Board. An academic at the University of Pretoria, he leads the Chartered Accountancy Program and contributes to global standard setting and research in financial reporting and disclosure. Chiedza Heri is a Zimbabwean entrepreneur and international speaker focused on sustainable finance, conservation, and innovation. As founder and CEO of Ubuntu Alliance, she advances climate and nature finance solutions and has contributed to global platforms such as COP28 and Africa Climate Week, promoting locally led development and inclusive, nature-positive growth. Lyndon Namkomo is a seasoned legal and strategic leader with nearly 30 years' experience across private practice and industry. A qualified legal practitioner with advanced degrees in law and business, he combines expertise in capital markets, regulation, and property law with strong governance leadership, including chairing multiple boards. Sangeeta Popatlal is Chief Director for Corporate Governance in the Office of the President and Cabinet, with over 20 years' experience in law, governance, and regulatory compliance. An admitted attorney of the High Court of South Africa, she has extensive expertise in board advisory, corporate transactions, and advancing public sector governance and sustainability.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. We were supposed to have our panel discussion sort of setting up to the launch of the roadmap. But now, the message does not change. But we're now buttressing what we've been talking about throughout the day. We are going to turn sustainability into decisions. The lineup of speakers is quite 360. We are looking at private sector. We are looking at standard setters. We are looking at general enterprises and the capital markets. To set the tone of our discussion, I want to address the why question. Why do we even need sustainability? Because it will help us to make the decisions which are important. I wanted to start with Lyndon. From a capital market perspective, what are you seeing as a necessity for us to do the sustainability reporting?
Thank you, Mr. Facilitator. I think from a capital markets point of view, we are beginning to see investors asking questions related to sustainability, ESG, and they are taking positions in terms of whether to fund or not to fund certain projects or capital projects based on how corporates are responding to sustainability issues and how they've reported on such matters. So it's beginning to be a very relevant issue in our market, and that is why in 2024, 1st of January, we said that it was going to be mandatory for all companies that were listed or on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange and the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange to start including sustainability reports in their annual reports.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lyndon. It's important you raise that. Most of our capital can come from outside Zimbabwe. And we might be late in terms of the game, but out there people are now asking questions around what we're doing with ESG reporting. Cheers. I think you can see the wider market. I wanted you to share observations from your out of Zimbabwe. You told us we've got zero benefit or investment coming in Zimbabwe. Just share, maybe at a global scale, what you are seeing in the wider industry.
Okay. So in the wider industry, when you look at, and as I said, it seems that at a continental level we have been lagging behind. But we now have an opportunity to leverage and make multilateral environmental agreements that we've signed up to work for us. And as I said, where climate and the beauty with climate and ecosystems is there are no borders. So if for us to implement these global ambitions, we need resources, but now we need to speak the right language to unlock the finance. So I hadn't shared this, but one of my clients right now is actually working on a regenerative finance facility, and Zimbabwe is one of the target countries. The reality is, it's cheaper to avert a crisis than it is to manage a crisis.
Yeah.
So if we can start getting more funding into adaptation, and at a global level, it was one of the topical things at COP30, how do you unlock more adaptation finance? And adaptation is resilient food systems, resilient infrastructure. And if we can, the reality is overseas development assistance has been dropping by 50% year on year for the last 3 years. So the traditional donor development, that's dead. So how do we now get more funding flowing through trade and investment? It's making companies and communities be implementers, literate, so that they can understand the opportunities and execute. So you are seeing a massive shift, and we've realized that scientists, we're terrible communicators. But this is where we now need to say, how do we then bring in the accountants, the communications experts? The same way we have language translators, we now need audience translators to drive that. But the ambition is there, the money is there. How do we now get it to flow to where it's needed? Thank you.
No, thanks, Chieza. Sangeeta, I know you have recently joined the department which is looking at government level. Are you seeing opportunities like those being seen in the private sector and listed entities at government level?
I think government has been a bit slow with it, but definitely I think the call is out there already. It's just a matter of getting organized and selling sustainability as a topic on its own. Already, you know, we've signed all the treaties. We've got IPSAS. You know, it's taken me. I've just heard little flashes of IPSAS here and there in my function as chief director. So I think one of the issues would be just to work intensively on that IPSAS public sector policy for Zimbabwe, because we don't need to reinvent, and because there's a lot of talk also of fragmentation, should we say. There's the GRI standards, and then, you know, there's IFRS. I've heard of a lot more. So, you know, we don't need to have a fragmented approach. And I think one of the weaknesses that Zimbabwe has is that we have a proliferation of associations, right? And I think what people are doing is individually going to apply, and they're losing out because it's usually the funding is bigger amounts, what Chieza and I have spoken about. So she's informed me about that. But I think if we aggregate it, and that's why I'm proposing for that centralized function, so that if we aggregate it and then we go and split into different funds, you know, there's the National Venture Capital Company of Zimbabwe. He was here, Tino, yesterday, and he's also looking at some funds from his venture capital perspective.
Thank you very much. Andrew, I think you can help us put an international perspective. I know when you were doing a presentation, you didn't get an opportunity to talk a lot about opportunities. I think it links very well with the conversation we are having. Maybe if you can bring us, Zimbabwe is, at government level we are slow, our capital markets are responding, private entities are responding, but what are you seeing out there with regards to opportunity?
Thanks. So you're right. I mean, internationally, I think public sector entities, and I guess it's always a difficult picture to paint, right? So you say public sector entities are slow. Why? Public sector entities are slow to adopt what? Sustainability reporting as we currently define it. But public sector entities are already producing other forms of reporting to sustainable development goals, to climate in terms of national development plans, performance reporting. There's already a lot of reporting that is done by public sector entities to try and communicate what they're doing to address some of these sustainability type issues that currently exist. I think the problem with it at the moment is that, as I said earlier, there wasn't a common language, there's no baseline, and so it is a little bit more fragmented. It might not necessarily be the most reliable form of reporting that we have. So the aim of the standards is to try and just elevate that. But to my earlier point is, this is just the reporting, this is the output. What we really need to worry about is that input and actually driving the change and what's coming through. So I really liked, Sangeeta, when she spoke around the units that she's trying to create within the Treasury, and potentially that central unit. And if I can give you a really good example of where it was done, was in Wales. So Wales a couple of years ago developed what they called, the colloquial term for it was Minister for the Future. And the Minister for the Future, her role was to look at every single public policy that was being proposed by government and ensure that it was optimally aligned to the sustainability mandates or the goals of the public sector. And a good example, that one thing that she stopped, and she actually received death threats for this, was around a road. So there was a particular road, and this road was heavily congested in the morning, and so the local government decided, well, we're going to expand the road, we'll add a few more lanes to this. It came across her desk, and she said, but have you considered the sustainability impact of this? How is it going to impact on multiple of the sustainability factors? And essentially, I mean, if you're thinking about a road, by expanding a road, all you're doing is actually making sustainability worse, because you're incentivizing more cars, more vehicles to get onto the road. So that increases greenhouse gas emissions and pollution, for example. It increases travel time potentially as well, because if you build more roads, people are just going to buy more cars, right? So again, you've got the emissions that are coming through from that. More cars on the road, you're going to lead to more congestion in the longer term as well. But the other thing with it is that you're actually sort of exaggerating and making inequality worse. Because who can afford to buy a car? It's the upper tiers of your population, right? So you're making the ability for them to get to work better, and you are actually putting the lower percentage of your population at risk because they don't have the ability to use this. So the solution is don't widen the road. We need to take people off the road and put them onto trains and other forms of public transport, and that's how in the longer term you actually try and address this. It's more costly, it wasn't popular when it was done, but from a sustainability perspective, is it the right thing to do? Yes, it is. And I think that's the conversations that we need to start having, and hopefully as a standard setter, what we're trying to do with this is to help governments identify that and then communicate that message across the world.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. I think your comment, the last part of your submission, it ties in very well. We are incorporating sustainability in decision making. I like the example you give about construction of a road. We might have actually looked at a number of things, but we didn't think about the impact. People are actually going to use the road more and leave the train, which may actually have an impact on the on sustainability. Thank you very much. I wanted to have us look at where we are, starting with you, Chiedza, just sharing what you are seeing from the implementation and integration of sustainability in enterprises.
So when I look at the integration of sustainability reporting within enterprises, in a past life I set up a startup company in England, and so I've had the beauty of being able to compare the startup ecosystem there. I have peers that have set up businesses in Kenya. I've been involved in accelerators, and even at SME stage, even with young people, the countries that are mobilizing the most startup funding are the ones that are actually embedding impact reporting, so impacts on the environment, on climate, on social impact. Even if they're doing it at a micro level, they still have that data. And if you can measure something, you can monetize it. So to give, put it into perspective, Africa, the big deal, you can track startup financing. Most funding is going to the 4 countries that are getting the most climate finance. Kenya, Egypt, South Africa, and Nigeria. Kenya's getting about 1.5, I think the latest stat was about 1.1 billion. That's 1.1 billion new companies, new investment. That's 1.1, like, so when you look at Zimbabwe, we are not getting that much in terms of, because we think, oh, it's too much. Guess what? Formalization is good because it unlocks you to new opportunities. Embedding and incorporating and reporting at the level and scale that you can, depending on the size of your organization, unlocks these opportunities. And even for the bigger companies, the opportunities are there for government as well. I keep saying that government should be one of the biggest carbon project developers. Infrastructure, sleeping giant for Africa. And you look at the latest Africa Climate League, Ethiopia hosted it last year. They mobilized 150 billion for their economy of low collateral, concessional financing, where you can now blend in other aspects such as results-based financing because of certain gender outcomes, because of certain climate outcomes, where you are being more resource efficient, but you're also now, at a macro level, easing fiscal pressure because you're also accessing capital, so you've got a double saving.
No, thank you very much. I feel challenged. Lyndon, you have heard of all these opportunities. Where are we in terms of our capital markets, which I think you predominantly are leading?
Yeah, we are basically in a transition. We are beginning the journey.
Mm-hmm.
The first reports that we received were in 2025 for 2024 financial year.
Mm-hmm.
And what we witnessed was, one, that at governance level, there are very few listed companies with, I think they have not embedded sustainability in their governance structures. But there could be one or two companies that have got sustainability committees on as part of their board committees. So, but this is, you'll see this in the top tier, because the exchange, if you're looking at this Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, has got three layers. There is the top tier, mid tier, and the lower tier. The top tier companies are doing it. I think they're doing it very well. You look at reports that are being produced by companies such as Delta, Econet at that time, and BAT did a very good report, and I think I would want to urge you to go to the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange website to have a look at that report again. And we are also seeing lack of capacity, particularly from the preparer side, because there's a lot of greenwashing in their reports. And I remember I had to reject one report that we had received from one of our listed entities. It was just a one page. Like they were supposed to just tick the box that they had submitted a report to us. And it was just a shallow report. And it shows, to me, it demonstrated that over the 12 months, nobody was recording anything. There were no statistics that they were recording, and they don't seem to have a framework within their organization to be able to prepare for sustainability reports. So that's a very serious issue. Talking to some of the listed entities, they are raising concerns around the costs. They're saying, look, we are doing our financial audits, and that costs us a lot of money. And to add on another layer of reporting is another cost that we cannot bear. So they are questioning the relevance of that, of sustainability reports. I think it depends on the strategic direction which the company is taking, really, and whether they want to be relevant globally. Yeah. And if you want to be relevant globally, then you have to follow what the world is demanding. And then the last issue really is that I don't think even, because if you'll find that what we've done is we have made assurance optional. And that sort of, it creates integrity issues around the reports that are issued by our listed entities, because there's no assurance. Yeah. But it was a way of trying to slowly get people into the rhythm, and when they find the relevance, then they'll begin to also consider assurance as an option. And also to try and manage costs, because the cost of compliance generally have gone up. Yeah, sure. They'll be looking at listing fees and beginning to question, is there any value in listing if we are going to be incurring all these costs? So it's a mixed pot. It's a mixed pot, and I'm hoping that this year, as we begin to receive annual reports, we'll see any improvement. Okay. But 2024, you could
25.
count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entities that did a very good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think, Lyndon, we have given you a very good opportunity to address your concern. The roadmap. The roadmap will actually help you because you are identified in certain pillars which your preparers have to comply because PAB is the regulator in terms of financial reporting, including sustainability reporting. So assurance is also going to come.
Yeah, for as long as it's not going to shrink my exchange. Because I'm already losing, listings on the exchange. And I want to be able to have a good balance.
Okay.
We want to support this, definitely. We have engaged with Don and his team.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about it at Securities and Exchange Commission level. But at the same time, I think Zimbabwe is kind of different in the sense that we have certain problems that we need to address.
I know. Thank
you. We will push, definitely. We hope that the roadmap will assist us.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a carrot and stick approach.
Thank you. I'll give my panelists, thank you very much, my panelists. I'm aware I'm in between lunch, and for me, also my flight. I'm leaving this afternoon. I'm just going to give you an opportunity, 1 minute, to just have parting shots, so that at least we can close our conversation. For the audience, if you want to continue the conversations, you can have those conversations after lunch, but let me have parting shots from my panelists so that we can close the session. Yes, ma'am.
Parting shots, I'm a sustainability believer, so I think government has a huge role to in leading this conversation. Circular economy, green economy, recycling even, we need to take a bigger stance on a public policy on that. And there are so many opportunities for our youth and women in terms of projects. We need to grow our middle income, according to Vision 2030 anyway. So there's a big gap that we want to fill.
Thank you, Sangija. Lyndon?
Thank you. I think going forward, we need to build capacity. Capacity in terms of the preparers themselves, to know how to do it. Because I believe that we are lacking seriously in that area. And we also need to build capacity at governance level. The boards must understand why sustainability reporting is important. We have people that have been on boards for 30, 40 years, but this is a new phenomenon, this is a new development, and they should be taught. I think they need to be taught to understand why it's important. We also need to build capacity around our assurance. Once we do that, it's one thing to talk about a framework, but it's another to get it implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Lyndon. I think that's a call to all of us PAOs, I think both on governance, preparers, and assurance providers. Thank you very much, Yeza.
Thank you. I think I'm going to echo, and I did say in my presentation that we need to get more entities, individuals, institutions, climate and nature literate. Investment is all about risk management. If you look at the risks, we've been focusing on exchange, foreign exchange, currency risk, country risk. Climate risk, nature risk, social risk, 60% of risks is in the direct control of boards, of companies, of institutions. If we can manage that, country risk, thanks to a certain individual, every country now has country risk. So we actually are in a very unique position. I think we need to be more aggressive and bold and actually acknowledge that there are certain things we're doing right, but how are we measuring it so we can monetize it? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Andy?
So just to echo again what's been said here, so with the sustainability standards and the reporting that's coming through, it's a tool for two things. One, behavior change, helping you identify and drive that behavior change, but then to be able to tell and communicate your story as you go through and do that change, managing the risks and ultimately achieving that long-term value. The last comment I'll have is when we're looking at the standards, they've got to become global, is a term that I've started to learn. So global, they must be globally aligned and relevant to make sure you can access international markets and you speak that language. but they need to be locally relevant.
Yeah.
So please, when you're looking at these standards, don't just take them as they are. Make them relevant so that they are useful to your economy and the needs of your stakeholders.
Thank you, Andrew. A round of applause to our panelists. Surely there are many opportunities, and the roadmap is going to help us seize those opportunities. Thank you very much.
Before you go, panelists, there's those who haven't received their presents. You can come and receive your present. So we're asking ICA's president, Mr. Emmanuel Mudefi, to come and make presentations for the presents. You can go up there so that we can see you. Oh, the group photo. Oh, the other members who were there, can you come for the group photo, please? Group photo first, and then we present the presents. Cameraman, you can do your thing. Okay, I think that's done. Okay. So far, okay. Thank you. I would ask Mr. Rodzi to come up front, and also Mr. Sgauke to come up front for their for gift presentations, and also to present is Dr. Farai Dube to come and present. Thank you very much for the work done with the sustainability reporting. You can go up, sir. You can go up. Thank you. Thank you very much. At this moment in time, we will leave the time to the Secretary, Mr. Donald Mangenje, to come and do the vote of thanks. Secretary, over to you.
Donald Mankenji is Secretary of the Public Accountants and Auditors Board, playing a central role in regulating Zimbabwe's accountancy profession. With a strong background in administration, including prior experience with the United Nations, he oversees professional standards, licensing and compliance, contributing to the integrity and development of the profession.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chidaba Enze. Wow. What a 3 days. My job today is to thank each and every one of you who has made a contribution to the 10th Zimbabwe Accountants Conference. Firstly, allow me to thank the Honorable Resident Minister, who has hosted us in his province. The hospitality over the last couple of days has been outstanding and is appreciated. Allow me to also thank the sponsors who have also made this possible, our title sponsor, Net1. Net1 believed in us, before any other sponsor believed in us. They came on board very, very quickly, and we were surprised. I'd also like to acknowledge all the other sponsors. I can't name you one by one. The accountancy profession belongs to all of us, and the onus is on us as a profession to also support the profession and the conference. You will note that the sponsors highlighted at the bottom there are mainly sponsors that come from the profession. The PAOs, the audit firms, and the various private sector entities. But in those entities, there's a member of the profession in there who has made things happen. So thank you. We can only build our profession as a profession. I didn't want to say Nika inova kwa newe newayo, but profession inova kwa newe newayo. I'd also like to say thank you to our distinguished speakers and panelists. When we put some of these names down, it was almost a pipe dream, to have them speaking at our conference in Zimbabwe. For your information, we do not pay speakers, we do not pay panelists. They come here pro bono. Some on their own steam, they book their own flights and they attend our conferences. It was a pipe dream to get speakers of this caliber from international standard setting bodies. Andrew, we are grateful. You made the trip. It was, I think, a 3-second WhatsApp message. And the response came there and then, yes, Donald, I'll do it. Thank you so much to all the speakers, to all the panelists. I can't name you again one by one, but thank you for heeding the call and coming to support the conference. Then to you, our delegates, we are most grateful. Without your participation, there would be no conference. You could have the best speakers in the world, but without the delegates, you would not have a conference. So thank you, delegates. I know this conference filled up a week before. We had to turn other people away. We had to return some monies, unfortunately. It was a painful experience. Not the money bit, but turning away people. It was a painful experience. It is such a pleasure to fill up a conference, to have people who are eager to learn, who are eager to hear what all these distinguished speakers and panelists have to speak about. So thank you very much, delegates. Please clap your hands for yourselves. I would also like to thank the PAB board for your trust and confidence. The Zimbabwe Accountants Conference has never been held out of Harare. This is the first time that we've taken it out of Harare. We felt it was a milestone conference, the 10th Zimbabwe Accountants Conference, so let's try something. I'm happy to have a young, dynamic team that is not scared of risks. But the young, dynamic team is also mirrored by a board that is gray-haired. So you can imagine the convincing in the board of us doing something out of the norm, taking the conference to Vic Falls, where it had never been taken before. So to the board, thank you so much for trusting us. Thank you so much for agreeing to be convinced that this was a good idea. We filled up the room, and I hope we've delivered. Only the delegates can either confirm or deny if we have delivered or not. So thank you, board. A special thank you. A special thank you to the ZAC 2026 Organizing Committee, which was ably led by Mr. Farai Dube. So for your information, the Organizing Committee for the Zimbabwe Accountants Conference is led by CEOs of PAOs. They've steered the ship. They've gotten us to where we are today. They never doubted our recommendation to have this in the Vic Falls. They've been with us every step of the way. PAOs are better placed to organize these things because they hold CPDs, once in our winter schools, summer schools, conferences, and what have you. Unlike the PAB, maybe we'll hold 3 events a year. We relied so much on the expertise of the PAOs to organize this conference. So thank you, organizing committee. Thank you, Mr. Dube, for ably leading the team. Thank you so much, CEOs. I'd also like to extend our gratitude to the support staff that has been drawn from the 9 PAOs that we regulate as PAAB. Your contribution, your expertise, and your experience in holding similar events was invaluable. So thank you to the support staff. You will have seen as you go to the airport, support staff from the various PAOs leading you, support staff from the various PAOs ushering and doing various duties here. So thank you to the staff. I will not name you one by one, but thank you so much. The ladies that have been coming up with the speaker's gifts and everything, those are support staff from the PAOs. So thank you very much, support staff from the PAOs. Then to the team at PAAB. When you go out there, you think that PAAB has got 50 people working at the office, as you would expect with other accountancy regulators in the region. You go to EBA, for example, you've got a staff complement of more than 80 people. You go to ISPAC in Kenya, for example, you've got a staff complement of 120. The work that we do, when it goes out there, it seems to be work that is done by so many people. But believe it or not, the PAAB office is comprised of 9 people who multitask, who share responsibilities and get the job done. To the staff at PAAB, I can never stand as secretary and take the credit as secretary and say, I've done it. The staff has worked long hours. I think we've had planning meetings that go well over working hours each and every day over the past 3 weeks. To the PAB staff, I would like you to just come up here and receive your flowers from the delegates. The team, please come through. So to give you the measure of the numbers at PAAB, this is practically the whole office at PAAB. This is the regulator. These 9 people you see here, minus the caretaker messenger that we left at the office. This is the whole PAAB team that's regulating the profession. So thank you, team, for your hard work. I would like to thank you personally as Donald for believing in the vision to take ZAC 2026 to Vic Falls. We've been stressed, we've been shouted at, and we've taken brick bets over the last couple of weeks. But thank you so much, team. I will ask the whole team to leave, but I'll ask Webster and Fungai to just remain there. Webster and Fungai formed the management team at PAAB, along with me, yes, of course. So as I said, I can't take sole credit for organizing this conference. Webster and Fungai, thank you very much for your leadership. Webster has been responsible for overseeing the budget, the programming. We've done so many things with the program over the last couple of days, changed a few things, and Webster has been central to making sure that the program flows. I'm sure most of the delegates would not have picked it up, but Webster has done so well in that. Webster came to PAAB in August 2025. One of my main requests to Webster was, Webster, we've adopted the sustainability standards, and we need a roadmap. For those that can count, August 2025 and where we are today, that's 8 months. And there we are. We've launched the roadmap. Thank you very much. Fungai is responsible for our education aspect, but she has led the operations at PAB, including anything operations relating to this conference. Your flight tickets, the administration, everything has come under Fungai. And as a team, we've delivered. So thank you, Fungai. Thank you, Webster. Thank you, guys. To our conference chairs, Amelia, George, and Thomas. Thank you for the last couple of days. You've ably steered our discussions at the conference. I wouldn't have asked for better. Thank you so much, Amelia, for a very good day 1, George for a very good day 2, and Thomas for a seamless day 3. Only we can relate to what has gone on behind the scenes, the changes we've had to make, the gymnastics that we've had to do. Thank you so much to you 3. I am not sure. I would like us to present our token of appreciation, or tokens of appreciation. I know we've done one so far to George. I'm not sure we've not done our token of appreciation for Emilia. So Emilia, I would like to call you up. Thank you very much, Amelia. Thomas, thank you as well for today. You have steered our discussions very, very well, and please accept our appreciation. Is George in? Have I left anyone? Okay, thank you. So as I conclude, allow me to leave you with a brief but important reflection. I'm aware that I'm speaking to the converted, but I'm speaking to also those that are not members of the PAB, those that are not members of PAOs. After the 3 days, you should be asking yourself, why are you waiting? Why are you not a professional accountant? This jurisdiction, unlike other jurisdictions, has got 9 professional accountancy organizations. The law in Zimbabwe does not recognize you as a professional accountant unless you are a member of the PAAB. Your BIAC doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is your professional education. The world is changing. Being a member of the profession gives you that opportunity to be plugged in to what's going on. CPDs, standards are changing. Are you plugged in? So if you are not a member of a PAO, I'm speaking to you. Reflect and become a member of a PAO, and ultimately a member of PAB. To those that are already in the profession, are you a member in good standing? If you are not a member in good standing, please regularize and make sure that you're a member in good standing. Be good professionals, and us as your regulator will commit to be a fair, responsive, and effective regulator. With those remarks, I thank you all for your participation. We'll have an opportunity again at the gala dinner today. I invite you to come dance and celebrate 30 years of accountancy regulation with us. So please don't miss the gala dinner. I thank you. Apologies, my staff will kill me for this, but just to let you know on the important upcoming dates for the PAAB, we've got a Career Day Expo coming on the 27th of May where we showcase the profession. We've also got the World Accounting Day on 10 November. We are yet to plan on what we'll do on that day. We've got a poll that has been running on where next you would like to have Zach. The results of that poll are on the screen. Board members, this was deliberate. So that next time we come to the board and say this is what we're doing, the people have spoken. ZAC 2027 has been planned for the 14th to the 16th of April. Venue to be advised. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Secretary. Board musazovadzinga ino basa tinovada bosi wedu chero havo vaita pamuromo. So I just want to make a few announcements on how we are going to proceed. So now we will proceed for lunch. I believe everyone would have gotten their meal tickets. And then our dinner, our gala dinner, the 30th anniversary dinner, is starting at 7 p.m. So make sure you come around 6:45 so that we start promptly at 7 p.m. The dress code was advised. Please adhere to it. If you don't, we are going to fine you. For the rest of the afternoon activities, it is a free afternoon, so you can choose which activities you would want to partake in. For those who want to go for the Victoria Falls tour, there is a courtesy shuttle which is run by the hotel here at Elephant Hills, and it leaves every hour. So it will leave right now, the next one will leave at 2 p.m., and then another one at 3, and then at 4. So you can pick the time that is convenient for you. Ideally arrive 5 minutes before. And those who are going for golf, the tee-off time was meant to be 1:15 p.m., but I believe because of the delays, we will tell you, it's just a few of you, we will send the communication through to you. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon and see you at the dinner tonight.
Oh, this feeling I can't hide. You're feeling up